So that seems okay. And yeah, let's just do something really gentle. I think that's quite important. So we settle into our body on our seat. In this moment. Letting go of what we've been doing up till now, today. Not thinking about the past or the future, just being present in the here and now. And actually just holding our mind, first of all, within our body, within the main part of our body, like our heart space and our diaphragm area, within that area of our body. Just being there. Life on the inside. Withdrawing temporarily from the outside. For the purpose of, sometimes called, introspection, looking within, just being there. Not feeling that you're looking at something, just being present within this heart and diaphragm space. Making the space quite large. And being aware of the energies that move in this space. Again, not sort of observing them from the outside, just being there, kind of being the heart space and allowing the energies to move through you. And because these energies are connected to our emotions, depending on how you are, they will move with more or less intensity. And that's okay. The point is just to be present, allowing them space and acknowledging them. We don't need to connect them to any specific person or event or issue. Just allowing these energies as an expression of where we're at. And now gradually expanding the heart space to the size of the room that we're in. Still feeling present to that space and allowing the energies to move around within the walls and the ceiling and the floor very comfortably. It's just a kind of settled feeling of awareness. Not investigating or analyzing, not describing. Just feeling and being open. And with this confidence and sort of groundedness, we can allow one or two significant others in our lives to appear. It might be someone in the same building or nearby, or even if they're far away, they're part of your consciousness. And again, as with our own energies, we just accept and acknowledge the presence of this person or these people within our heart space. We don't make a big deal of it. And depending on what's going on in your life, there may be several others you can comfortably allow. Just make sure that you stay quite stable. And if you find that your energies start to move a little bit too quickly or powerfully, just relax. The important thing is to take in whatever you can handle comfortably without being disturbed. Sometimes even we can handle disturbance without losing touch with the ground. If so, that's fine. So this heart space has really expanded quite a lot now. It's kind of indefinite, actually, how big it is. It's really just a mental construct, whatever boundary we make. The point is that our body is seated here, while we're actually very much within the awareness of our heart space. And that is where our attention is. And we're not trying to control anything or push anything. We're just acknowledging what comes up. And we can kind of experiment a bit to discover where we might choose to set a boundary. We might be able to take in things which are not really directly connected with us, but they're somewhere on our radar, and feel okay to acknowledge them. And it's also the case they could be associated with the past or the future. Awareness of them is in the present. But not to get drawn into any stories or entanglements, just to stay with the whole space within which all this happens. This space is actually very, very stable, even if we don't always realize that. And it's a groundedness that exists potentially in everyone. if you feel yourself getting carried away, then just come back to just the space with the energies moving without description or images. And from within this space, start to prepare to join the Zoom session. You've been listening to my voice, so I've kind of been present within your space, but there's also another person, so just make room for them. Just as I make room for both of you. And, the fact is we're all in different places and we're connected by means of the internet and the software and the hardware that enables this communication to take place. So allow for all that within your heart space, because it's very much part of our world these days. It's a kind of nod to the fact that we're really interconnected with others throughout the world. So we'll come back into the session now, coming out of meditation and preparing for a little bit of sharing and listening to each other. And we'll just start with let's start with sharing how we're feeling. And take it in turns. And just the other two of us can listen. Whoever wants, just start.
I had trouble with the energy portion of it. When you said, the energies, I had real trouble conceiving of how that would look or feel within my heart space. And but since February, I've been using the heart space a lot. like in my evening purification, that's where Vajrasattva and my root guru and me all meet and merge into one. And when I like use calling the guru from afar, that's where she comes and sits, and she has her own balcony. And she makes tea or whatever. I made it really elaborate. And there's a viewing area in my mind is sitting down there someplace in case, and it's little black case there of self-cherishing and all that stuff. So, but I haven't, this is what you introduced just that was new that I've never tried before, was expanding it to the room.
How, can I just ask, how are you feeling now?
Warm and fuzzy.
Okay, thanks. Let's just listen without commenting to start with. Do you want to go next, Vanessa?
Sure. Yeah, I'm feeling relaxed. I had a cup of coffee and it tends to, I don't know, I get like irregular heart rhythms when I drink coffee. And so it's kind of distracting when I'm trying to meditate. But yeah, it's definitely, I feel more grounded compared to when I woke up. Because when I wake up, the first thing I want to do is get my cell phone and look at social media or I don't know, just see if anyone messaged me. Or I start thinking about things like, I don't know, money issues and just a lot of monkey mind. But doing meditation, especially when it's guided, helps ground me.
And how are you feeling right now?
I feel kind of a mix of relaxed, but my mind wants to worry about other things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm feeling I don't know, I don't really feel so physical. I feel more like there's a kind of big field of energy. It's not the same as the energies moving in the space that I introduced that Lou had a bit of trouble with. It's not the same as that. It's more like a sort of generalized field of energy, which I feel I'm in, actually. Maybe warm and fuzzy kind of goes quite well with that, actually. That's quite a good, but it also feels like light. It feels like it's glowing somewhat, maybe a little bit golden. And I guess I really feel the presence of you two within my space. That's very, very strong feeling right now, actually. I mean, there's an interesting question that arises, which is, do I know you guys? And there's a feeling I know you completely, which is really strange, actually, because I don't in a normal way of speaking. So that's a feeling of knowing you because of this sharing, I suppose. And that's a very interesting thing to recognize, and it's happening to me all the time, wherever I am, whoever I'm with. I think it's connection. Also, my wife is downstairs, so I do feel connected with her in the same house. That's another thing. It's quite interesting. Which is quite a similar kind of connection, actually. Even though I can't see her on the screen, I can, from my heart, I can feel that connection. Yeah, that kind of more or less sums up where I am at the moment. So maybe we can go into a little bit more like discussion, sharing, questioning, or commenting. So if anything anybody said triggered something for you, let's just see where it goes, because with only 3 of us, we can be quite free form. I mean, it might be something you want to explore out of what's been shared so far.
And when you mention the word connection,
yeah,
it makes me think how kind of disconnected I am to my family. That's why one reason why I've been drawn to Buddhism is because I'm seeking a connection. And it makes me wonder, like, what would Buddha do, or what would Buddha say if, he has the same things, kind of same dynamics with his family.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Left them. That's one of the most important points about his life. He had I think was his child born yet, or about to be? Maybe, I can't quite remember. And he just left in order to find something beyond that. Quite radical, really. In a way, it's shocking, actually. Does it shock you to think about your disconnect with your family?
It's not shocking. It's more of disappointing and wishing it was a different way.
Yeah.
Or, wondering what it would be like if I had a different family. Yeah, it's a lot of what ifs. And then, then my more grounded mind says, it is what it is, just make the best of the situation. And, maybe it's not a bad thing not having a connection with family, because you deal with less drama.
You got any thoughts on this, Lou?
Family connections for me come and go. There's times when I feel connected to my family, and then years will go by, 10 or 15 years, and it's not there. Then all of a sudden I'll get a phone call or something will happen, and all that connection comes back again. It's not, it's something that I've just accepted as, like Vanessa says it, I'm just grounded in the fact that it is what it is. And after a while, you don't think about it. And then sometimes you do. And I don't know, life is long, so, and things always change. So. And Andy, you were talking about being connected to people when you meet them and stuff. For me, that happens only occasionally. And in the meeting, it doesn't last for the whole interaction. It's like glimpses of a connection for maybe 30 seconds or a minute or so, and then it just goes away. And it's not all the time, and it's not with all people. But I've never ever tried to build on it. I've just noticed it.
I think for me, it's kind of become stronger the more that I meditate on love and compassion in general, which for me actually really means being open to people. You know, I don't think I mean, of course, you can say that love and compassion are things you do in relation to people, but I don't really think of it like that. I think of it more like being open to others, and which also goes with not being afraid of them. Which of course sometimes doesn't work, you know, because you have to accept that you can have some difficulties sometimes. But I guess I found as time goes on that that's more and more where I'm at, and then it leads to this phenomenon that I described of just naturally feeling connected. I think more or less whoever I'm with these days. No, I haven't always been like that. Or maybe I have in a way. That's another question. I'm not sure. I think I was always quite an open person, even when I was young and before I got into meditation and stuff. But I got hurt a lot.
Yeah, I would say I'm for the most part an open person when I meet someone, especially with my work. I meet new people all the time. I'm a bedside nurse, so every shift it's like a different set of people that I have to take care of, and you know, as part of my job and just reason why I enjoy it. I get to start just, you know, how are you doing? Like genuinely caring about the person and taking care of their needs, because they have a hard time taking care of some of their issues. So that's when I come in and help them out. And, you know, and I let them, you know, at the end of the shift, when I say my goodbyes, it's like, I'm not attached, but I was really open and connected. And, you know, I want to practice that more in my personal relationships and with my family relationships too, where it's like, when you're in their presence, you're connected and they're the center of your attention. Your focus is on them. And then, you know, when it's over, you know, you go your own ways and don't think about it.
Yeah. I suppose one of the challenges with family is their expectations of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And their feeling that they might have projections towards you, which you don't want to kind of take them. So you have to kind of maintain a kind of transparency in a way, so that it doesn't really hit you.
I think this brought to mind, when I was talking about connections, I think I've realized that I have a lot of fences I've erected around my mind over the years. But then I realized that I am a good listener. So the connections coming in are strong. It's just that the fence is like a one-way fence. I don't project out. And because of that fear of taking down the fence, it kind of makes the connection. That's why it's so intermittent, because I let it down, I peek out, and then bam, it goes up again. You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I can see how that happens. I think we need to acknowledge, oh, Anna's gone again. What happened there? It looks like she didn't unmute. Maybe she just decided that we were too involved. Anyway, that's her business. Okay, yeah. So it's a little bit volatile for you, Lou, by the sound of it.
Yeah, they're prodigious fences. So
I think it's important to be able to put boundaries when you need them. I don't think, but not to let them get fixed.
yeah, unfortunately, there were a lot of defense mechanisms I relied on when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer have the need for them, but
Mm.
it's really rough to dismantle them.
Ah, yeah. So actually, I want to come back to something you said earlier. You said that in the evenings you're doing Vajrasattva practice.
Yes.
And you also said that you couldn't understand what I meant about energies. But
Yes.
it seems to me that when Vajrasattva is on your head, you feel the white light and the nectar coming down into you, then you're kind of experiencing some kind of energies entering into your heart space. That's my experience anyway. Does that make sense?
Typically what happens is when I do feel the energy coming down into it, either through Vajrasattva or blessing my speech, I picture my whole body as hollow. So it's not like concentrated in the heart space. It's like the whole body becomes white.
So it's the same thing. The whole body is just an expanded space.
Okay.
But you do feel something passing in and coming through you, and
yes,
yeah,
colors mostly,
sure.
Sometimes a physical, but I supply the physical sensation a lot. So,
well, you do in a way, but in another way, it's an agency of something outside of you, with you. So, in a way, it's an example of the kind of energies I was talking about.
Okay.
And I kind of think that we also have that with ordinary people. Like right now, we're in a group of 3. So there are 2 other people who are impacting us in some way. And when they speak or make some gesture or whatever, their presence, it stirs something within us, I think. And that is a net movement of energy. So that's what I mean by the energies. And I think when we've been involved in certain, kind of engagement with others, and then we stop to meditate, those energies are often sort of moving around within us. And in the meditation, we can at least acknowledge those energies. We don't have to throttle them, or we don't have to push them away so I can meditate. We can just create a space within which we say, oh yeah, that's going on. I mean, later we might decide to focus our meditation, that's fine. But at least we've acknowledged this stuff.
I like how you referred to energy as opposed to people, because it's just something about energy, just to me, rather than a physical body, just has more dynamic movement.
Exactly.
Flow, like I'm in between 2 houses and they're both under construction. They're empty, but they're constantly like in and out contractors and construction workers coming in. And it doesn't bother me. I feel connected to what's going on over there. And I kind of like their company. And they're playing their banda music, which is like this kind of like polka Mexican music. Yeah. To me, it was just very joyful. And just hearing them speak in Spanish, even though I don't know them, I'm not talking to them. I just feel this connection with them. It's kind of weird. And also, with the animals that come in and out, like I had a dove fly into my house and it landed in one of my pots. And, it's like I was so focused on that bird, but trying to get it out because I didn't want my cats to harm it. And even like looking at the bugs that come in and the little June beetle that came into my house, and I just picked it up and then put it outside. And to me, it was like, they weren't creatures. They weren't like a bug. They weren't a bird. It was like, to me, it felt more like energy than an actual, physical object.
You know something, Vanessa? I don't think that's at all weird. I think the weird one is where we objectify everything, especially people and other living beings, because they're not objects. They are processes or, flows of energy. We all are. And I think when you are open to that, like the guys in the buildings next door and the animals and the insects. I had an experience earlier. I was in the garden and there were 2 white butterflies. And I don't know if you know, but how butterflies dance together. It was just absolutely incredible. And I thought they must be getting exhausted because they went on and on and on. I must have watched them for at least 5 minutes, maybe 10, and they just went all around me, and they didn't go too far from me, and I couldn't tell if they were fighting or whether they were making love. I don't know exactly what was going on, but it seemed like courtship. They were working with each other. It was like a dance. And somehow I just connected with them as two other beings who kind of represent something about my life too, which is like that dance with others somehow, something like that. It was very powerful and very moving. And it's left a strong impression on me. Yeah.
I do know that I recently read something, a quote from Albert Einstein, when he was talking about E equals MC square. He was waxing philosophical about the fact that everything is energy. The natural state is energy. Mass is just a temporary aberration of energy.
Mhm.
So to him, the universe was energy.
Mm.
And also, if we think about, like, we can see each other's face right now, and the face looks kind of solid. But if you break it down into cells and then into atoms and then subatomic particles, the whole thing is just space with vibrations, which create this impression of something solid.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so when we look at it, we think, oh, that's a set face. But actually, it's not. It's just a complete sort of, it is energy, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Yeah, it
just,
really makes Buddhism really makes me think about physics,
Yes.
about matters and particles and movements, and just the fact that energy is not created or destroyed, it just moves into another form.
Yeah.
So it makes me think about, like, when I've been thinking about death a lot lately, in the sense it's like, how I want to live my life and where am I going to go after this. I can only imagine. I don't remember any of my past lives, but I can just, I can imagine, when my body is about to not function anymore, like, how is my energy going to escape, or because I've seen, people who are very disabled, they can't move, but it's like, they're still alive. It's like their energy is still trapped inside that capsule of a body. It's like, sometimes, I work with patients like this, and it's, I don't know if I'm projecting, but it seems like they just want to get out of that capsule, but their families are like holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's very true. I think thinking about past and future lives in terms of the transference of energy from one situation to another is very helpful. It's a bit like even within this life, we do go from one situation to another, and we see it all in external terms, usually because of our eyes and so on. But if you think of it in energetic terms, it's a bit like in a dream, where in a dream you can just jump from one space to another. It's actually very flexible.
I think there's something traveling. This is before I started practicing Buddhism, is that, I loved to travel when I was younger, and I would backpack, and it was just the best feeling. And I just couldn't explain why that was. It wasn't like I wanted to do like a lavish vacation, but it was just like, there was just this need to keep on going and traveling. And then, like, I started studying Buddhism, and you hear about these sages and, these teachers, how far they've traveled, and it just makes me kind of connect with it. And I think if I didn't have this body, I would just keep on traveling if it was that easy.
Sure.
If I didn't have to go on a plane or something.
Yeah.
I think what Vanessa just said about holding on, That is my main preparation for death. Whenever I think of death, the first thing that pops into my mind is, don't hold on to this body. Just let it go.
Mm.
You know, it's not worth holding on to. Things just aren't worth grasping to and just holding on and not letting go ever.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Trust in the process. Trust that if your mind is good, the journey onwards will be okay.
Mm.
To die within a good space where you, especially without fear, if possible. So that means training to let go now, because otherwise, if we keep clinging on to the body, yeah, then at the time of death, it's going to be more difficult. Yeah. I'm sort of feeling like, unless you want to say anything more, that this would be a good time to go back into meditation, actually. And we could sort of think about death a little bit, because it's a very powerful meditation. Would you like to do that? Okay, so we'll do that for the last 10 minutes. Okay. So bring your mind with your body again. And this time, we're going to recognize that this body is going to stop functioning at some point. Right now, it works. We can go places with our legs. We can reach for things with our arms. We can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch with our senses. And we have a brain which kind of holds a lot of information to do with this present life. We've got a beating heart, lungs which function to bring in the oxygen that we need for life, and a digestive system that enables us to extract nutrition from our food and drink. So it's functioning reasonably well, well enough for life. But as we know we know it very, very definitely, it doesn't last forever. And come back to being your awareness within your body. The awareness that earlier could expand to the size of your room and beyond. The awareness that can connect with memories or future possibilities, but is always just present. And just allow your awareness to let go of your body. It's possible you might even experience this as your awareness knowing that your body is left on the seat, but your awareness has got a momentum of its own. like Vanessa mentioned, traveling. You might remember how you dream, where you travel beyond the physical environment where your body is sleeping. And we have stored memories of moments going back right into our childhood. And we can sort of project that we were in the womb at one point, and actually we grew in the womb from something very small, which was the merging of two cells. And those cells came to develop as our body. But it seems that they were joined or connected with a stream of consciousness that came from previous life. At that time, that consciousness was utterly clear. It was free of any content. But nevertheless, it had this quality of awareness. And even now, somewhere inside us is the memory of that moment, the very first moment of our conception, when our awareness was totally clear, free of all content, all concepts, just clarity. And that has been the underlying nature of our mind ever since that moment. And we kind of populate it with all kinds of content. Likewise, even if we go back before that moment, there was an intermediate state preceded by a death, preceded by another life. And that clean, clear clarity was always the underlying sort of nature. Of our awareness and our experience. And if we once again project forwards now to the moment of our death, when our body ceases to function, our breathing and heart stop, and we gradually re-enter that clean, clear clarity before moving on. And that experience of letting go of our body, certainly at that point, will be very blissful. A freedom from the burdens of ordinary life. And that experience is our underlying reality all the time. It's just that we're not usually aware of it because we're so preoccupied with the content. But meditation enables us to connect with it, to remind ourselves. Okay, it's kind of a couple of minutes till the end of the session, so maybe gradually come back. Is there anything either of you would like to say before we go?
Coincidence? I've been highlighting the Lamrim Kenmo, and the passage I just got through highlighting was the consciousness uniting with the egg and the sperm and the sense faculties. That very moment in time I just got through highlighting before I joined the call.
That's interesting. Happens like that. Synchronicity, it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a memory, Vanessa, that the last time at the end of February when I did my previous session, that was your first time in this whatever it's called.
Yes, with you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I have a feeling that at that time you were more tentative about Buddhism.
I was more attentive then.
I think so. I might be wrong.
I don't know, I've always been attentive to Buddhism.
Okay. Maybe that was just an impression. Anyway, it's really good to be with you both again. And yeah, maybe we'll meet again next week. It seems to be a lot of serendipity in all this, but that's
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your day and week.
Thank you all.